Hi, I'm Dr. Claudia, and this is the I Woke Up Like This podcast. Today, we are talking about alignment. Alignment is a big term used in the spiritual community, and it's used a lot in the manifestation community. And it's one of those ambiguous areas that, depending on who you're talking to, it will have a different meaning. So today, I'm diving into what my definition of this term is, how I see it working through healing and spiritual development, and how you can incorporate alignment into your life. So, what is alignment? The definition of alignment is simply to be in a position of agreement. And in the spiritual community, that is usually defined as being in the same frequency range as the thing that you're experiencing. Because we say things like you are in alignment with that experience, or you are in alignment with that particular timeline that you're on. And alignment's really important because what you are aligned with is what is going to determine the experiences that pull through in your 3D reality. So, for example, if you are a person that is relatively new on this journey and you still have a lot of negative thoughts and feelings about yourself, it's very hard for you to pull in positive, affirming experiences because you are negatively affirming yourself on a consistent basis. So that would put you out of alignment with those positive experiences. Now, there is a caveat to this, and the caveat is as you are growing and healing and moving through to the version of your higher timeline, you will be in alignment along these paths that you're on with negative experiences from time to time. Because a lot of times we have to come in contact with the things of the past, or we have to come in contact with things that need to be healed. And sometimes they don't feel super comfortable. So the idea that we can have this toxic positivity and that you will not draw in any sort of negative experience is simply false. There is contrast in our environment. We do live in a dualistic environment. We are moving further and further away from that. But at this current time, we need to understand that just because a negative experience plops into your reality does not mean that you need to latch onto that and get discouraged with your own progress. So how do we get into alignment? And this is an excellent question because it depends on what you want to align with. Because again, alignment is something you're in an agreeable position to. So you're matching a frequency. And what most people don't realize is that as you move through this healing, growing, expansion process of your consciousness, the things that you want to move towards are going to have a tendency to ebb and flow and change. So things that you thought you wanted, when you actually get to them, you may not actually feel like they're in alignment with your highest self. And this is a really important part of the process that needs to be acknowledged, because a lot of the times we align with things or we move towards things to simply walk us down our path. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's our destination or where we need to hang out long term. But we do have to experience it in order to move through it. So the first step of getting into alignment is really deciding what you want to be in alignment with. And when you decide what you want to be in alignment with, you want to think, okay, what would be a match for that? How would a person in that particular area that you're trying to work towards, how would they act? How would they think? How would they move through their day? And you want to do that in a way that's authentic to yourself, because again, the purpose of this is not to lose your authenticity, but the purpose of this is to go, okay, well, I want to start my own business. Well, what does a person that starts their own business do? Well, they have to formulate a plan and they have to decide what that business is. And then they have to start taking action on that. So if you want to be in alignment with that, you have to do all of those steps. And if you're out of alignment, you would be doing things like making a plan, but then never taking action. So you're never going to be in alignment with that thing. You can't positively think your way into it unless you're taking the inspired action based on that alignment, because the person that is in that position, the person that has achieved the things that you're trying to work towards, they are taking action, and they are taking action pretty regularly. So the first step is deciding, and the second step is taking action, because these things go together. You have to do both of them. Now, what's interesting about alignment is as you move along your path towards the things that you're working towards, you are going to have experiences where you ebb and flow from the things that you are in alignment with. Because again, as I stated earlier, you're not necessarily supposed to be in alignment with every person, place, or thing for your entire journey, for your entire experience. And acknowledging these things is really important, because this is how you stay in alignment. Staying in alignment is important. It is the thing that's going to hold you where you need to be. And in order to do that, you really do have to crank up your intuition. You have to get in touch with yourself, and you have to learn to pivot very fast. So if somebody, something, some job, some client, it doesn't matter what it is. Whatever it is, it needs to resonate with your current frequency. So if it's not resonating, if it gives you some sort of an ick, or some sort of like this just does not feel right, the quicker you move away from it, the more you're going to stay in alignment with yourself, the more you are going to move down your path towards this version of yourself that you're working towards. So understanding your alignment, understanding the alignment of where you're going, and then moving, ebbing and flowing away from the things that are not in alignment with that are really important. Sometimes that's people, sometimes that's habits, sometimes that's places. It can be all kinds of things. It can be small things, it can be big things. It's just such a wide range, because the thing is the universe is constantly asking you, like, what do you want to be in alignment with? So it's going to put, like, they're not necessarily obstacles, but they are decisions in front of you of what you're going to choose. Depending on what you choose is depending on what you are in alignment with. So, for example, somebody who is working on being their highest self, like, is probably not going to be spending a lot of time with people who drink a lot, or do a lot of drugs, or gossip a lot, or complain a lot, or sit in anxiety a lot. Like, those are things that you have to move away from and make conscious decisions to move in another direction when you're presented with those things. And the faster you do that, the quicker you're able to recognize something that's out of alignment and move away from it. That's the motion that brings in the things that are in alignment with that version of you that you're working towards. It expands your capabilities. It expands your ability to create the world around you in a way that is perfect for you. Some of these things, they could be aligned with other people, and that's perfectly fine. It could be in complete alignment with somebody else's highest and best self. This isn't a judgment on these things that are out of alignment. This doesn't mean that they're good, bad, negative, whatever. It just means that they're not for you. And so really tuning in, really listening to yourself and saying, this is for me, this is not for me, and only moving towards the things that are for you is how you get into alignment, stay in alignment, and move yourself through into alignment with your highest self. Your highest self is what is directing these, oh, I should move towards that, or I should not. That is a soul knowledge place. Your soul understands why you should move towards something and why you should walk away from it. And that is really the key with alignment. And it's not an easy process, especially in the beginning, because in the beginning, you have a lot of limiting beliefs. You have a lot of societal structures that you're still following that you think you need to follow in order to get to X, Y, and Z. Our brains think in a linear manner, and this process isn't linear. And there's also this component that, socially speaking, we are expected to believe that certain people will help us, certain places will help us, certain things will help us achieve what we want to achieve. And if it doesn't resonate with your higher self, it is an obstacle. It's not helping you, even though it externally on the outside, it looks like it will. And I've experienced this a lot. And the thing is that initially I knew these things were in alignment with my highest self, but I walked towards them anyway because of the external environment said I should. Like people, for example, like seemingly nice people, but they don't resonate with me. They don't resonate with who I am, which means if they don't resonate with who I am, they're not in alignment with my highest self, at least not at this part in the journey. And that's the thing with alignment. Just because something isn't in alignment with you right in this moment doesn't mean that will always be the case. Because a lot of things like bump into each other and then split off and then come back and then split off and come back. So it's not necessarily an absolute if something isn't in alignment with you right now. The thing is that in order to walk on your path, you do need to understand what is in alignment with you right now, because that's the current moment. That is the now. That is what is your current priority. And you stay focused on the current priority. And the more you stay focused on the current priority, the more you will get to the long-term priority. And if you have like some sort of big audacious goal for yourself in life, you want to accomplish a lot of things, I am going to be completely honest, less and less people are going to be in alignment with you because they're not pushing as hard as you are to move along on this path. And so when you are upping your consciousness, you are awakening, you are doing the healing work. So you're going in, you're removing past traumas, you're addressing these things. More and more people are doing that. And a lot of times people won't understand what you're doing because they're not willing to do it for themselves. Not because there's something wrong with you, not because you're moving down the wrong path, but simply because they don't want to do the work for themselves to follow you down that path. And that's how they fall out of alignment. They may end up doing like a twist and turn and coming back into alignment with you later on. I've personally had that happen. I've seen that happen for my clients. And again, that's why we need to approach alignment with non-judgment, and we need to approach it from a place where everything is neutral. It's not good or bad. It's just a question of, is it in alignment with me right now or is it not? And there is that really big misconception, especially in the manifestation crew. They have a tendency to promote toxic positivity. Now, should you be leaning towards a positive perspective on things? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to have some sort of hard thing come up for you, that you're not going to be challenged. That's not realistic. And it's not the truth. Because as you're growing, as you're expanding your consciousness, as you're healing, you have to clear that density from your own energetic body, your spiritual body, your mental subconscious, where all those limiting beliefs are held, and also your physical body holds a lot of things in your muscle tissue and all of these things that need to come out, that need to move through. And as these things come out and move through, they're not always the most comfortable. So you can't say, oh, everything's fine, and not address what is actually happening. You don't have to hold on to it. You don't have to sink into a negative emotion. You don't have to do that. You can have a positive perspective, even on things that seem negative. So, okay, well, this is clearly happening for a reason, and I am going to use this to my advantage. I'm going to take rest right now, or I'm going to continue to work on my relationships, or continue to work on myself, or whatever it may be that's going on in that moment. Or, I mean, it could be like a career thing, like you could get laid off. That is redirection. That is a positive thing. But what I mean when I say like you're still not going to be exempt from all negative experiences is like sometimes it stings to be redirected, to be pointed in the right direction. And so we need to acknowledge that, because I think if we don't acknowledge that, then a lot of people can get discouraged on this journey. They could think that, because everything isn't all sunshine and rainbows, that they're doing something wrong. And I would actually say that if you are in the thick of it, if you are moving through it, if you are persevering, you're moving in the right direction. So alignment is just simply something that you are in a position of agreement with. And you need to decide what you want to be in alignment with, because if you don't decide what you're being in alignment with, you're going to settle for kind of what is presented in like the easy, low-hanging fruit category of your life. And most of the people, I think, listening to this podcast want to dive a little bit deeper. They want to move in a direction that challenges them and expand and grow. And you have to decide what you want to do that, and then you have to walk towards it. And walking towards it means letting go of all of the things that don't actually resonate with that version of you. That is how you move through alignment. So if things feel like they're a little sticky, a little difficult, you've got this. Keep going.